Hey, Llama. Hey, how about a little something, for the effort, And he says, there won't be any money, but when you die, on your deathbed, you will receive total consciousness and a chance to listen to Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond. So I got that going for me, which is nice.
Want to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Master the Art of Connecting and professional speaker Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on the planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have the founder of True Love Knots, a program that helps those looking to find their passion in life by performing wedding ceremonies. She's an ordained minister, a highly sought-after professional speaker. She has performed over 3,000 marriages. She also speaks to individuals looking to get back into the dating world, where she shares her own personal experiences because she is all about love. Thrive Loud listeners, Maria Romano. Maria, how are you today?
I am doing great, and thank you for the invite. This is exciting.
She was brought to this program. We have so many people that want to get on Thrive Loud, but when guys like Evan Money, who've been married 28 times, say to you, hey, you have to have Maria Romano on the program, I go, well, tell me more about it. And you're going to hear all about it, listeners, because she's got quite an interesting story. Let's do the little rewind about this. I want to understand kind of how this became your gig, how this is the thing that you do in helping to really live your passion in this whole True Love Knots program.
Well, actually, I started in the rent-a-car business many, many decades ago with my late husband, Frank. And we sold our company in 2010. And unfortunately, I knew Frank was always going to be on borrowed time. Sidebar, my late husband had a heart transplant. Yes, a heart transplant in 1997. He lived 15 years post-transplant. God bless. I was so thrilled. And I knew that when we sold the company, I needed to still do something. I needed to still work. And I'm the type of person, I just don't like sitting at home. I enjoy going to lunch with people and exercising, but I want to be able to give back and enjoy what I'm doing. I went to a wedding ceremony, a friend of mine, and I saw women do it. I said, I want to learn how to do that. So I put the pedal to the metal, right? I put together a marketing kit. I got my license, which was not that easy in the state of Nevada because it's a huge industry. Most people don't realize that just in Las Vegas, the wedding industry yields about $2.7 billion a year.
Wow.
A year from weddings, when you think, because of people coming in. So with that said, I started going out and pounding the pavement because I didn't know any better. You go to the hotels and the chapels, and it really wasn't that easy. Oh my gosh, Lou, I made so many mistakes, but it all paid off.
Hold on. I want to hear this. What mistakes did you make? Share some of the bumps and bruises along the way. I'd love to understand what mistakes we're talking about here.
Well, first of all, let's talk about our ego. Okay. When we start something, here I ran a company, car rental company. I thought they would embrace me, these chapel owners, these people. It's a different type of business. Okay. So walking into a property and introducing yourself and giving them all your credentials doesn't necessarily work that way. I had to build relationships by going back, but I made also mistakes with my ceremony. And this is what I teach to my students. It's so important. So for example, and I see this even with people that are officiating just for their friends and family, you have a bride is being escorted in, right? And what happens is because they don't really focus too much, they're so nervous about what they're doing. They ask who presents this bride. Okay, it's almost like cattle. No, use a name. And then they have people stand and they forget to have people sit. I did that for one of my first weddings over at Green Valley Ranch. I was with my girlfriend. I dragged her with me. I said, come on, you're going to see me do a wedding ceremony, blah, blah, blah. So this couple beautiful couple, maybe about 50 guests. And I performed the ceremony. And then afterwards, I went up to my girlfriend. I said, Rita, how did I do? She said, you did great, except for one thing. I said, what? She said, you forgot to tell everybody to sit. They stood the whole ceremony. Boo, I'm going to tell you something. I was like mortified. And those are things that happen in a ceremony that you need to know about. But again, I always tell my students, don't pull a Maria. Remember to have everybody sit.
So let's go through this, because this my brain is just racking with so many fun questions to ask you. I want to go through the basics to bring our listeners on the same level that I want to get on, and that is there a specific religious component to what you deliver, or is it more just the service of executing the wedding? Does it matter who you're marrying?
No, it does not.
Okay.
I'm a non-denominational minister. And actually, let me unpack that a little bit more for you. In Nevada, when you receive a license, an officiant's license to perform weddings, unless the wedding is being performed on religious property, okay, if you're a priest, then of course you can adhere to the beliefs of marriage. So for example, same-sex marriage, right? However, if you are going out and you are receiving money, and you need to be open to marrying people of same gender, different cultures, and different races. And that's the key thing. And I believe love is love.
Okay, this is good. So I like this. So open to all that's out there. Before we get into helping other people become what you do and help them perform ceremonies, in doing 3,000 some odd marriages over these years and having to connect with people, what is it about the wedding ceremony that you conduct that when you're speaking to those that are getting married, what is it about you that you're able to maybe say why you're going to conduct a certain ceremony or why they want to work with you? What is it about you specifically that you share when you're trying to connect with the people that you're going to perform one of the most important moments in their life?
Well, when you meet a couple, which sometimes you're just meeting them 15 or 20 minutes earlier. You know, I work out of a chapel too. That's one of my clients. I only work with a few clients. So you do have to be able to establish a connection. And first of all, with anybody listening with anything that they do in life, is you have to genuinely be authentic with who you are and enjoy what you're doing. That's the key thing. And if you walk in and you've had a bad day, you know what? It's their wedding day. It's one of the most important days of their life. So I try to find a commonality. I'll look at their marriage license. I'll maybe look at where they're from. Maybe it's, they'll tell me that they're a widow or widower, which I'm a widow, so I can relate to them, married so many years, or just sharing a story. They'll tell me how they met. And that's how we create a bond, because it's almost like being part of the family. This is what I tell people, whether I train them or even after the ceremony with couples that I perform, I am now part of their family. I mean, it's a gift. I don't have to, I get to perform their ceremony. I have couples that send me pictures of their babies. I have couples that reach out to me and I might perform vow renewals for them, baptismals. I also have couples that reached out to me to perform celebrations of life for their family and spreading of ashes. So there is a connection. It's like a family priestess, not priest, family.
No, I got it. Okay. One last part about this, and then I want to go down the other avenue of the thing that you're really kind of maybe even more passionate about, which is kind of the backdrop of all this. But as it relates to where you are located, you are in Las Vegas. And as we know, there's a lot of shotgun, very quick, very fast weddings that pop up. I'm sure you've seen everything. Talk about maybe the interaction that you get from those that are coming, because I mean, like, there hasn't been a sitcom, a movie, a TV show that hasn't at least poked fun at what happens in Las Vegas as it relates to getting married really fast or just whatever. Any of those experiences have you crisscrossed in your career?
Well, I have to. So you brought up, do I perform ceremonies for same gender, for example. Mm-hmm. And I have to tell you that sometimes, what I do see is there could be a couple that's same gender that's getting married and their family is with them. But I have to tell you that family, you can see when you're looking through a lens, and I'm looking at the guest And sometimes the guests are just not exactly comfortable. Okay. And you know what? I think that when you come to a wedding ceremony, you know what? Celebrate them, celebrate the couple, celebrate their happiness. So it doesn't matter. I've seen that. I've also, have had a really unique wedding where I had a couple that both of them were legally blind and they met. One gentleman was blind, and the woman that he met, he was teaching her how to use Braille. And it was amazing how they had their phones in front of them and they were able to read their vows with the way they felt. Well, I don't know how the phones were set up, but they knew exactly what was there. That probably was one of the most touching ceremonies that I ever had. And that was just a couple of years ago. I had to guide them through the whole thing. It was definitely different. And it was, before COVID, because, you really didn't touch anybody, although now we're getting back to it. But I do want to say, you talk about my 3,000 weddings. I'm almost at 4,000. Wow. This year was incredible. Cupid definitely trumped COVID. Yeah. I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. No, you did. I think this is that you've seen all different types, everything that comes in. And obviously you have just a wide range of great experiences, which is what you get to be in front of, which is kind of cool. And obviously it's probably, I say this about professional speakers all the time. I'll get nervous. I've spoken thousands of times wherever I've gone and other people, but the day that I'm not nervous is the day I know I need to quit. Do you still get a little nervous before the ceremony?
You know what? That is interesting you say that, because when I go out and speak professionally, I do become nervous. But with the wedding ceremony, I just really feel like I'm that the nucleus that's going to bring everybody in. So I have to. There are times, yes, I could be a little nervous, but I'm so focused on having the guest feel comfortable. And actually, I'd get the guest to also help me within the ceremony. I lead them and I'll say, let's cheer for them, help me pronounce them. So I'm too busy maybe being a DJ in that point in time to even think about it. But when I go out and speak on stage about love, oh yes, I get those butterflies in my belly.
So let's talk about love, and let's talk about getting back to dating. You seem to have a niche of helping those a little bit older and later in life, second marriages and whatnot. Talk to me about, I guess, the message that you're helping people connect with as it relates to love from what you speak about, and also how you're helping people.
Well, so I have so let's unpack this a little bit more. So I have a talk that's Loving Your Way to the Top that I speak about, and that's in the professional world. Okay, falling in love with your clients, your experience, and your success. And the reason I had to put that together is sometimes if you walk in and say, I want to talk about love, people are going, what do you mean she's going to want to talk about love? This is not going to work. But my passion is helping people too with getting back into the dating world. So I kind of bridge that into, melding people together and learning how to reconnect again. So that was my entree, Loving Your Way to the Top. But on the other side of it, I just wrote a book last year, Going from Just One to a Plus One during COVID, because last year, actually the last 18 months, there were so many people that are experiencing loneliness that are my age, older and younger. And they just don't know what to do. And they sort of feel trapped and they feel helpless. And I realized that there were many people like me actually a few years ago when I started getting back in the dating world, because I was married 33 years. I didn't get back in the dating world, and it was different. And I don't know of how long, if you're married or whatever, but
I've been married. It'll be 24 years in March.
God, see now, if you had to get back and date again, if you thought about it, it's like, oh my God, what do I do? Right. And it happens. People just, they almost regress. And I call it a boomer's adolescence. So but people just don't know what to do. And let's face it, you have different ways of meeting people, dating apps. And I marry people all over the world. And there are people that are 50s, 60s, and 70s that meet on dating apps, but you need to know what to do. It's just like putting together your resume and putting it out on different, websites. So that's what I help them and give them the confidence. Oh gosh, the confidence is so important, especially when you hit a certain age in life, because you know what, there is rejection and it's harder. Well, even though people think, oh, you're older, you can deal with it. No, it's harder. It's harder at that age.
I want to hit something here, which is more of, I want to get your 2 cents on this. And this has to do with, there's a lot of people who've been married who probably still shouldn't be married. And there's a lot of people who think about getting, or should get married, but don't, from hesitations within this. Your experiences, for those that are in a marriage that isn't working, for someone who brings people together, it's kind of hard because there's obviously another side of life that you're catching them at one moment, a very important moment that's beginning and kicking things off. But we all know that not everything lasts. You've been very busy this year. I'm sure a lot of these marriages were second marriages, third marriages, or whatever. Your thoughts about when it's not right. Let's talk about the other side of the coin, when love is not working or not connecting, or just two people might even love each other, but maybe shouldn't be married. What do you think?
You know what? That's a very interesting, question. And you're right. There are many people that, if they're unhappy in a relationship and they've tried to work it out, they've made the effort. And I think that's the key thing. Like anything else, then it's time to, part ways. And what happens, you see that, especially with couples that have been together for quite a number of years, they have a vested interest. They might have family and friends, right, where they have relationships, assets, and they don't necessarily want to part with their assets. They don't want to uproot, even though they're miserable. And it's important that when you're in a relationship, you don't want to, I'd rather see you be alone than wish you were alone. And then that's a very important phrase, because there are many times, and I hear people that'll say, you know what, I'm still lonely. I'm in this relationship. So there was an article that we just released, and I don't remember who the publication is, on what you can do to reboot your relationship. Now, this isn't for everybody, and I understand that. But if you're at a point, you have to make an investment in your relationship, an investment of time, and really taking a moment and thinking about what you and your partner want. And that's important. And then also make an investment in yourself to make sure you're always growing too. So I think what happens is we become so disenchanted with ourselves that it spills into our relationships. So we really need to go back and examine who we are before we start dismantling and taking apart a relationship that we've had for many years. Now, with that said, if you're in a relationship where it doesn't serve you, where there's addiction, abuse, whatever, absolutely get out. Nobody should expose themselves, their family, or allow another person to do that to them. But there's a time, no matter what age you are, that it might be where you move on, which, interestingly, what they have found over the last 18 months, there have been many Gen Xers and baby boomers, that because they had to quarantine for a period of time, they realized they didn't like each other. And this is not where they wanted to stay for the rest of their lives. And they have parted ways. So we're seeing a large divorce rate. And then, of course, going out in the dating world again. But again, they need to be prepared.
Totally. Maria, I want to know this one from you. You are helping people perform wedding ceremonies. I want to talk about the training component of what you do here. Is there something unique? Look, obviously, you figured it out on a way of getting licensed, and you worked your experiences. But obviously, those lessons that you learned you must have come up with a teachable way of doing things to help make it easier for others. Let's just let in a little bit of the sneak peek of that, is as to some of the secret formulas, if you would, of True Love Knots, and what you're sharing with folks to help them do this.
Well, that is my passion, to help people love the passion that I'm doing as far as getting out there and performing wedding ceremonies. So, this training that I've put together is not just for anybody in Las Vegas. It's for anybody that, I speak only one language. I've tried others. But the point is that you can be anywhere in the world, because the ceremony, basically, unless there's certain cultural differences, is pretty much the same. There's the same outline and a format. And my passion is to get as many people involved to take the training and pursue this. We're out there, and there's a lot of people that have gone through this great resignation process, right? You've heard of it. So now you're sitting at home going, okay, so I need to have multiple streams of income. So what do I do? And it's great to be behind a computer, but also you want to get outside and you want to do something different. So for example, in Las Vegas, I perform wedding ceremonies in a helicopter. Oh, yes. You can do it in a hot air balloon. I almost got close. They couldn't take off that day in a hot air balloon. It was 5 miles an hour wind. I think I went at sign of the cross and said, I wasn't too sure about that one, but that's okay. But there are so many venues that you can perform a wedding ceremony and have fun. But really, at the end of the day, you're connecting with the couple. Right. You're impacting their lives and their guest lives as well. You're setting the trajectory for them, the tone. And you know what? That's powerful. That's powerful. And that's why I love training officiants. And the course that I have put together, it's a digital course. And there's so many videos with I call it the drip model content of how it's dispersed, because they train with me. So I only do this so many times a year on Zoom. And I have students, but I don't accept mediocre. So I also give them some benefits of doing some rehearsing with me. And I really want you to rock it, because again, I think it's important to set yourself apart and really to immerse yourself in the ceremony, to become, again, you're bringing a couple together that loves each other and they want to prepare to spend the rest of their lives together. Okay. That's the hope. And there are going to be times, Lou, in their life when they might pull from what you said in a wedding ceremony that's going to help them overcome a challenge. So it's a gift. And I want to share that with people.
Spectacular. We'll do the plug section in a moment. We'll get there. But I want to ask one question to you that I think our listeners really want to know. Look, you've been thriving throughout your whole life, and this absolute living your passion is exactly what Thrive Loud is about. Those that are thriving in their lives, their businesses, and their passions. And you're doing all of that combined in one big felt swoop of true love knots. But we all have those days, Maria, when we're not quite kicking on all cylinders. Maria Romano, when you have trouble thriving, what practice do you seek, or maybe which individual do you seek out to get yourself back on the thriving track?
Well, you know what? I have to tell you, one of the things is I go back to, first of all, to motivate myself, I go back to what Mel Robbins, the 5-second rule. Okay. But I recently also discovered her high five rule. And I think that's the key thing is we all wake up and sometimes we self-sabotage ourselves and we have this imposter syndrome. And you know what? There are times that, and especially because I don't have a partner in my life. I haven't found someone yet, which is fine. And which is nice when you have somebody there that can kind of pull you up. So I've had to learn how to do that myself by pulling up my bootstraps. So I'll pull and I'll remember things that my late husband said to me, maybe that my grandmother said to me, and I pull from those memories and I kind of put those people on my shoulder and move myself forward. But one thing is I'm always grateful for. I'm grateful for my health, because without my health, I cannot continue to do what I want to do and to love the people that I love. That's important. So every morning when I wake up, I thank God that I have my health.
Love it. Let's do the plug section, and then I have a whole other section I want to go here. Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, websites, URLs, social media stuff. We will put it in the show notes, but it gets way more engagement when they hear it from you.
Well, you can find me at trueloveknots.com is the website. And the knots is spelled Knots. Of course, I am on Facebook under True Love Knots. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, True Love Knots. LinkedIn, you'll find me under Maria Romano. I'm also on TikTok. So we're on TikTok too. Yes, I'm getting a little bit more proficient in TikTok, but I'm on all the social media sites. And you know what? If any of your listeners out there, if they have a question about dating, if they have a question about their ceremony, I'm accessible. Send me a note. I'll get back to you. On the weekends, it's hard because I do quite a few weddings. I have 19 weddings this weekend, starting today. Nice. So that keeps me busy. But I will help any way I can help you. Please just reach out to me. Dating, life, whatever it is.
Before we go down Fun Street, you just hit this on the 19 weddings. I got to know this. Having that many weddings in that much time, the most common thing that I would be most nervous about would be getting somebody's names wrong, right? Just because, like, literally, if there's one after the other, after the other, after the other, do you have some kind of trick or some way that you actually help yourself to make sure you reconfirm, bride, groom, whatever it might be?
It starts when I meet them. I use their name. I'll take a look. I'll glance at the marriage license and then I put it down and then I'll repeat their name over and over. Now, I might not get the last name right all the time. So I will sometimes eliminate the last name. You don't need it for the ceremony. But yes, I do. And I have made faux pas. Okay, where
I would
I had
imagine.
pronounced the groom's name wrong, and I had to go in and redo just the video portion. I didn't need them because the name that I use was the bride's ex-boyfriend's.
Oh, that would be.
Again, don't pull a Maria. But what you can do is, especially at some of the wedding chapels, is you take a little Post-it, or you can write it on your palm and just glance down at it. And I
Okay.
wouldn't even use a Post-it. We just write it on your palm and then you erase it. But no, I really pride myself in remembering their names. That is so important.
No, of course. It was the first thing I went to. I'm like, that many weddings in one weekend would be crazy. All right.
And
Yeah.
thank you for asking.
No, so let's go down Fun Street here, Maria.
All right.
All right. So first of all, I'm actually surprised at this answer for a different reason than you would think. Can you share with the listeners what you shared with me was one of your all-time favorite movies?
Oh, I love The American President. I just do. And you know what? And probably, first of all, I love Annette Bening and Michael Douglas. I thought it was a great movie. I love a love story. As a matter of fact, throughout the Christmas season, I am a Hallmark junkie. I love that. But in that, maybe there was the relatable experience because he's a widower. I'm a widow. And I don't know, maybe there'll be a president out there for me one day.
Well, I was laughing and I was thinking that maybe Four Weddings and a Funeral might be one of your favorite movies, mostly because in what has to be one of the best scenes ever was the first wedding ceremony of the priest who literally made every possible mistake in the second wedding in the movie. It was known as Mr. Bean, obviously the famous actor, obviously, who played it. But every time I see that, I was like, I figured that would be in the top 10 of your movies, just to someone that conducts so many ceremonies.
No, that was not. But, I love any good rom-com, I have to tell you. I'm a junkie for that.
Love it. Okay. We're going to do speed around here. And since you have so many weddings this week, this is right in line with you. I'm going to ask you something. I want the first thing that comes to your mind. Most of these things are things that lift you up. They motivate you. They make you thrive. Okay? You ready to roll?
All right. I'm bracing myself, Lou.
You can handle it, I think. Of late, a song that you love to listen to and one that pumps you up.
A song that I listen to.
Something that's like, that you've heard lately that's like your jam. Like, oh, I love that song right now.
Well, as far as any songs go, I love Alicia Keys, and I love the Empire one, the New York one, because Sex and the City just came back. There was a reboot. So
I gotcha. For those listeners, don't go riding your Peloton or call 911 if you need to say it.
I know. I heard not good press.
A favorite food that's not a dessert.
Oh, favorite food. Oh, lobster.
Favorite dessert.
Oh, chewy caramel fudge.
An activity you wish you did more of.
Exercise.
An activity you wish you did less of.
Working. I want to spend more time with my grandkids. I rather train people. Yep. I have my weekends available.
Maria Romano, if I were to snap my fingers and you could be anywhere in the world, where are you?
Paris.
The last question leads to this. I'm guessing you're still looking for love. So the question, Maria, is what are you looking for? Look, we've got thousands of listeners here on Thrive Loud. Everybody's hearing how amazing a person they're going to see your gorgeous artwork. I mean, what the heck? Let's just go out there. What are you looking to connect with?
I'm looking for a gentleman in my life that has a lot of integrity, very authentic, very family orientated, and also has a lot of interest themselves, because I'm the type of person, we don't necessarily have to be 24/7 together, but have common interest and also have interests that you wind up exploring with other people. And I'm really just looking for somebody that's going to wind up being my best friend, partner. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. And I have to say, through the years of being single after being married, and when I go back and evaluate it, I think I have a better understanding of what I like to have in a relationship. And I'm not fussy, but maybe my time's not going to come until it's the right time. And that's what I feel.
to somebody that brings people together for the right time. I can't think of a better way to wrap up this show. Maria Romano, True Love Knots. Truly a pleasure to connect with you here. Shout out again to Evan Money for connecting us here. The man has been married 28 times. I was going to say, of all his 28 ceremonies, did you ever marry Evan?
No, but I made the offer to marry him and Susan again.
I'm thinking the Money crew needs to get you in the rotation. Maria Romano, thank you so much for coming on the program. It was great to have you on Thrive Loud. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.